Nikola Jokić went down in Miami, and for a moment the Nuggets season felt like it went down with him. A three-time MVP doesn't miss 4 weeks quietly. Teams don't just adjust, they fracture. But 2 nights later in Toronto, Denver did something dangerous. They won. Not because they were healthy, not because they were ready, but because they were forced to find out who they really are without the center of their universe. This isn't a story about survival, it's a story about whether the Nuggets can rewrite themselves before the season rewrites them. Pause there and feel the pressure. Missing a 3-time MVP is not an academic problem. It is a tactical, economic, and psychological collapse all at once. Jokić is not just a scorer, he is a binder of actions, the team's pick-and-roll fulcrum, its primary passer, its rebound hub. When he sits, every play the Nuggets run must be rewritten on the fly. Coaches do not simply swap rotations, they invent new value systems. The December 31st win in Toronto was comforting because it proved 2 things at once. First, the team has armor to absorb shocks. Second, the armor is scabbed and fragile. Peyton Watson's 24 points and Jamal Murray's steadying 21 were heroic. But the film shows why this victory is not a clean bill of health. It was a high-wire act with weaker safety nets than the roster needs going forward. Rewind to the foundation. The Nuggets were built in the Jokić era on continuity and smart construction, pick-and-roll geometry, elite passing from the big man, and complementary shooters who turned opponent attention into spacing. They won a title by making the ball move like water and by trusting possessions over heroics. Under David Adelman, who was elevated from interim to head coach after last season's shakeups, the team's identity retained that ball movement DNA, while asking younger players to take more responsibility. Adelman's elevation was intentional. Continuity matters when your best player is unique, and the franchise decided trust in a coach who already knew how the offense breathed was preferable to a wholesale revamp. That institutional continuity matters now more than ever. So what exactly happened to Jokić? The Nuggets announced a left knee hyperextension after he exited a game versus Miami and underwent an MRI. The initial timetable is about 4 weeks, with re-evaluation then. Importantly, the scans did not show an ACL tear, a relief for the franchise, but even a month without him is fatal for mid-season rhythm. Jokic's absence forces the Nuggets to ask who can create, who can pass like a center, who can turn a late clock scramble into a clean touch pass. Those are not trivial questions. They define whether a team is playoff caliber or merely a collection of talented players. Enter the December 31st game in Toronto because context matters. The score, 106-103, reads like a thriller, but the story is in the micro. Peyton Watson operating as a primary scorer, Jamal Murray carrying late possessions and a front court that had to compensate for Jokic's absence, and then lost Jonas Valanciunas to a calf strain during that very game. A further injury that could sideline Denver's backup center for weeks. The Valanciunas blow is a brutal compounding factor. The Nuggets, already thin, watched the expected safety valve snap under them. Now the team must lean on smaller lineups, rookies, and perhaps a free agent-style rotation the front office did not plan for. In other words, the win was real, but it was also an alarm. So who picks up the slack? Start with Jamal Murray. This is the season he has answered loud questions about consistency and leadership. With Jokić off the floor, Murray's usage rises and the offense tilts toward isolation creation, pull-up drift threes and pick-and-roll initiations without a passing big. Murray has done the heavy psychological work. He accepts mismatch minutes, hits tough floaters, and takes late clock shots with a veteran's calm. Against Toronto, he did exactly that. 21 points, plays that closed possessions, and the little read passes that stopped the Raptors' attempts to exploit Denver's thin frontcourt on the glass. Murray's case is analytical. He is now the primary offensive engine in practical time slices, and his ability to maintain efficiency while raising volume will determine whether Denver slips in the standings. Then there's Peyton Watson, the story everyone now wants to frame as breakout. Watson's athleticism and length let him attack closeouts, cut to the rim, and hunt offensive rebounds with the sort of energy starters covet. On December 31st, he did more than score. He finished plays, contested switches on defense, and showed a comfort level as a primary option that wasn't obvious from his rookie scouting profile. ESPN's box lines, Watson 24, Murray 21, are only the starters of the tale. The tape was what convinced critics and coaches alike. He made decisions under pressure that felt older than his passport. That kind of growth is the precise gift a team needs when your center is sidelined. But caution, athletic breakout nights can be volume-driven and regress if opponents design counters. Watson must add shot selection discipline and defensive consistency to avoid becoming a novelty. Beyond the heroes are practical constraints. The Nuggets' depth chart is now a test of creativity. Jonas Valanciunas was penciled as the immediate replacement in size and rebounding skill. Now, Valanciunas is injured, which pushes Denver into the next ranks. Zeke Naji, rookie Deron Holmes II, and minutes for hybrid big wings who can hedge switches. Those players bring energy, but not Jokic's passing or the same screening gravity. The team's roster page and season stats show a team still strong on paper, 23-10 overall and sitting high in the West. But paper is a fragile measure in January when injuries compound. The Nuggets' current record is evidence they were doing things right. But it is also a fragile lead that could erode without immediate adjustments. Tactics change when a coach loses his pivot. Adelman must redesign the offense to emphasize movement over stationary post-ups. Expect more high pick and rolls with Murray and guard Cam Johnson actions to the extent he's healthy, more off-ball screening to free shooters, and early clock motion sets that reduce the need for a single creation engine. Defensively, the team may adopt more zone-ish shells to hide rim protection weaknesses and to clog interior lines that would otherwise be exploited without Jokic's rebounding presence. Those are short-term tactical pivots. The long-term roster architecture, who you sign to replace minutes, what trades you consider at the deadline, is a different conversation. Let's quantify the risk. Historically, teams that lose superstar centers for a month see measurable dips in net rating and win percentage. Jokic's unique centrality magnifies that effect. Media analysis after the injury suggested the MVP race and the West standings both tilt when Jokić is out. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and others climb the MVP conversation in his absence. So there are league-level consequences as well. Fewer presumed wins for Denver, greater leverage for rivals, and a plausible path to the play-in if this becomes a multi-month spiral. That said, the Nuggets still possess two major non-linear advantages: a coherent culture and a manager willing to lean on analytics and creativity. If they can protect Murray's legs, stagger minutes cleverly, and get competent center minutes from backups, they can remain a top 6 team. If not, they'll be in a scramble for seeding. Now let's talk matchups and player-level counters. Opponents will try to exploit Denver on the glass and attack the smaller lineups with physical bigs. The counter is roster redesign or tactical compensation. If Adelman can hide weaknesses with switching perimeter defenders, players who can sprint and contest, Denver can still survive. The Raptors game gave a template: aggressive perimeter defense into quick transition, a reliance on splashy wing scoring, and late clock isolation for Murray. Coaches will replicate those sequences in film rooms across the league. Expect teams to try to force turnovers, push pace, and test Denver's defensive rotations for cracks. There are personnel narratives bubbling under the surface. Aaron Gordon, Cameron Johnson, and Christian Braun have all been listed as injury risks at various points this season. The cumulative effect of these absences is what turns a single injury into a crisis. Reintroducing these players gradually is an organizational calculus. Rush them back and risk further injuries, or manage minutes and accept short-term losses for long-term health. The Nuggets medical staff and front office will be under the microscope. The loss of Jonas Valanciunas specifically is not just minutes lost. It removes a veteran presence who eases rebounding and screens. And that's why the team's next few games are effectively a trial by fire. Let's ground this in a 5-game forecast and a 30-day projection, not as oracle, but as scenario planning. In the immediate 5 games, including road stretches, the Nuggets will likely split or go 2-3 depending on travel and matchups. That's because teams with good perimeter defenders can exploit Denver's reduced interior presence, while veteran guards like Murray and Watson keep the offense afloat. Over 30 days, if Jokić returns at the 4 to 5 week mark and the team manages to keep Valanciunas healthy, the Nuggets can claw back to their previous level and hold their position inside top 4 or 5 in the West. If Jokic's recovery stalls or other injuries pile up, Denver risks dropping into the 7 to 10 seed range and flirting with the play-in tournament. The most plausible midline outcome is the team landing around a 45 to 50 win pace, still dangerous in the playoffs, but different from the 55-plus projection they carried with a fully healthy roster. These scenarios follow the data from prior seasons where superstar absences cost seed positions but did not always destroy playoff hopes, especially for teams with coherent identities. What should we watch for? Play by play. First, Jamal Murray's efficiency under heavy usage. If his true shooting and assist turnover ratios stay elite, Denver survives. Second, Peyton Watson's shot selection and defensive rating. If Watson stabilizes into a reliable 15 to 18-point high-energy wing with plus defense, Denver's depth becomes a real asset. Third, backup center performance. Whoever steps into Jonas/Jokic's minutes in the medium term, Deron Holmes II, Zeke Naji, or small ball rotations, must limit opponents' second chance points and keep the offensive rebound margin neutral. Fourth, coaching adaptation. Is Adelman willing to run more motion, to shorten rotations, and to buy minutes for high mobility lineups? These 4 checkpoints will tell us if the December 31 win was an artifact or a strategic inflection. Beyond tactics and health, there is a cultural question. Do the Nuggets believe in next man up or in trades? Historically, Denver has prized continuity and patient construction rather than deadline panic. But the market can force hands. A center with size and passing touch might be available, or an energetic veteran could be had to cover minutes. The choice will reveal the organization's risk tolerance. Invest now to salvage seeding, or conserve assets and trust a late-season healthy reboot. Both choices have trade-offs: chemistry versus immediate competence. Finally, the human story matters. This team has ridden on Jokic's quiet intelligence and on a locker room that, in past years, showed patience and shared responsibility. Players from Murray to Watson to the role veterans must now step into new narratives: leadership, maturity, and, occasionally, humility. How the team communicates this phase to its city, whether it frames the month as a defensive test, a chance for younger players, or a pivot to a trade market hunt, matters for morale and for public patience. Nuggets fans are entitled to worry. They are also entitled to trust the front office that built a champion. The next weeks will reveal which of those instincts were wise. So return to the image that opened this piece, the limp-off in Miami, and the next night's improbable Toronto win. Both are real and both are incomplete. The limp is a signal of vulnerability. The win is a testament to resilience. Which image becomes the season's memory depends on a handful of margins: the quality of the medical return, the stability of the rotation, and the willingness of coaches and executives to admit when a small pivot is actually a necessary re-architecture. For now, the Nuggets sit at the crossroads: a top-tier roster on paper, an injury list in flesh, and a narrative that will be decided a possession at a time. This is a living story, the kind of sports narrative that refuses a tidy moral. For now, cherish the win in Toronto as proof the Nuggets can still play with grit. But prepare for a month that will ask more of Murray. Beg for more from Watson and demand creativity from the bench and the front office. The season is no longer a gentle arc toward title defense. It is a test of structural resilience. And often in the NBA, the teams that survive the tests are the ones who learn to remake themselves without waiting for permission. If you love breaking down NBA stories like this, not just stats, but strategy, psychology, and what actually happens when stars go down, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We're here to follow the Nuggets, Jokić, and every ripple in the league's biggest moments, one possession at a time.